We've learned a lot from the seeding rate trials over the years, but many farmers are ready to take the next steps to improve profitability. And variable rate seeding may be an option, especially when you're seeing yield variability from year to year. So over the last 4 years, we've conducted 32 corn seeding rate trials, and we've observed the optimum corn seeding rate for most fields in Ohio falls between 33 and 35,000 seeds per acre. Of course, each year we see areas of the state where yield varies, mostly due to weather. We've got wet years and dry years, and different areas of the state experience them in different years. But more importantly, within fields, we often see areas that fare better or worse when we see these conditions. And one way to improve profitability is to manage that variability through something like variable rate seeding. So matching the seeding rate with the productivity levels in the field. Most typically for corn, you're going to want to push the seeding rate in areas of the field that can support the higher density and still produce, and then pull back on areas that are less productive to save costs. There are many ways that you can go about generating a seeding rate prescription, and finding the best method for your farm and your field is going to take some work and to make sure that it's going to pay off. For this trial, we wanted to better understand the potential for using data from the Precision Planting SmartFirmers to generate seeding rate prescriptions. SmartFirmers are an optical sensor that mount onto planter row units, and they provide estimates on the go for several different soil characteristics. But for this project, we honed in on the organic matter estimates. And the reason we chose the organic matter estimates is because over the past few years, we've been using this data to select zones for soil sampling to look at nitrogen rates. And the results we were seeing were impressive. On this slide, you can see that aggregated soil samples were showing visible differences in both soil color and texture, which led us to wonder if this data could lead to a successful seed rate prescription. So for the field trial, we selected 3 seeding rates, 26, 30, and 36,000 seeds per acre. And then we selected 3 breakpoints in organic matter content where the seeding rates would change. We matched the highest seeding rate with the areas of the field with the highest organic matter content, and the lowest seeding rate with the areas with the lowest organic matter content. We then laid strips of each seeding rate across the whole field to allow us to compare the performance of each seeding rate across all of the organic matter zones, so that we could see if we made the best decision at the end of the season. The maps you see on the right show the organic matter layer generated by the SmartFirmers, and then the as planted map showing the 4 replications across the field. When we compared yield results at the end of the season, we saw that the variable rate treatment averaged the highest yield and shared the top spot with the 30,000 seeds per acre treatment. The yield for the variable rate treatment was higher than both the highest and the lowest seeding rate treatments, and the difference ended up being statistically significant. So we went and also compared the yield responses for each seeding rate by organic matter content. And we saw that the yield response was different by organic matter zone. However, once we were over 2.5%, the responses were very similar. And although the yields continued to increase at the higher organic matter contents, it may make sense to group those zones for future years, since we see that the yield curve plateaued after 30,000 seeds per acre for both of them. So we do think that the weather at this location likely impacted the yield results in 2020. The crop experienced a very dry stretch during late June and most of July that hampered yields, especially after the uncharacteristically wet spring we had. This likely led to the differences we saw in yield response at the higher organic matter soils. We believe that they might have held moisture more effectively longer into the season. And so one of the reasons we believe that is that we also conducted this type of analysis at an irrigated location in Miami County. They were also fairly dry for part of the season, but we didn't see the same yield differences between organic matter zones. We think that this was likely because when irrigation was an option, we were able to take that uncertainty out of the picture. This is a good demonstration about how a method that works really well at one location might not work the way you would expect at a different location. So it's important to look at your individual field and maybe through on-farm research, really hone in on the things that you think might work for that field and test them out. So to summarize, the SmartFirmer data worked really well to identify two distinct yield zones in a non-irrigated field. And when we used those zones for a variable rate prescription, it increased returns in that field. We do believe the differences in water holding capacity was due to the increased organic matter content, and that was a driving factor in the success of this approach for 2020. We're excited to continue this work in 2021 to see if we see similar results. So if you are interested in participating in a trial like this, please get in touch with me. My email is on this slide. And finally, I would like to thank my partner farms on this trial, Michael Beam at Beam Precision Ag and Brett Kenworthy at Kenworthy Farms. Two fantastic guys to work with, and I'm really excited that we're getting to learn together on how to make variable rate seeding work in a profitable way. So thank you.